City Property Committee. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and city of residence. Seeing none, at this time I'll also ask that all electronic devices be placed into silent mode. Thank you. So tonight, this evening, we have Councillors Cragen and Boschman and myself, Van Hazinga, here present. I invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to please approach the podium, identify yourself by name and address, and identify the agenda item on which we would like to speak. Then you may speak on it for no more than 2 minutes. We'll say we have Mr. Baker and Ms. Wilkins.
Actually, I'm Faith Salter. I'm the Executive Director of Penny Lane.
Thank you for coming in. You'll have an opportunity when we get to the item to speak directly, because we might have a little back and forth. But is anyone else in the audience like to speak on our single agenda item? No? Okay, we'll move forward. So tonight in our agenda, we have one item, order number 6625. Order that the City Council does hereby approve and authorize the Mayor to execute a conservation restriction by and between Ralph S. Baker, 840 Ashby West Road, Fitchburg, Mass. 01420, Worcester County, being the sole owner of 24.8 acres, plus or minus, shown as Lot 1 on a plan of land entitled Proposed Plan of Land for Ralph S. Baker, Fitchburg, Massachusetts, dated September 10, 2021, by New England Engineering, 601 Shea Street, Fitchburg, Mass. 01420, recorded at Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Plan 531-6, on October 5th, 2021, and the North County Land Trust Incorporated, 325 Lindell Avenue, Leominster, Massachusetts, as more fully set forth in the conservation restriction dated October 30th, 2024, as included with this order. Now, there's a lot going on in this order, but just to clarify, this is a conservation restriction between Mr. Baker on a property he owns and the North County Land Trust. So I'd invite one of you two, or Liz, if you would like to talk, just explain why it's here before the council and what you need of us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Ralph Baker, Fitchburg, and as you described succinctly, I'm putting in place a conservation restriction, and North County Land Trust has agreed to accept it. So let me give you just a little bit of background. This property is part of what you may know of as the rear lot to the longtime residents, the Hohasses, who have left a couple years ago, but they were there for 45 years. And I bought the property. I sold the house and the barn to a young couple who are living there now. That was with 5 acres, and I reserved the back part because I wanted to conserve the land. And the reason I wanted to do that was because we have a dearth of land within our city that is permanently preserved, and I wanted this to be a forever wild type of a conservation restriction. So background for that is that there's been historically, most of the forest land that is managed either by the city or by land trusts or other private entities tends to be managed for forestry. And that's fine. In fact, a lot of the privately owned forest land is also managed that way. But there's very little, in fact, almost none, of the land in the city that is allowed to be, to basically let nature take its own course. And to me, that's important for a variety of reasons. Self-willed, natural land that is self-willed by nature has certain qualities that do not tend to be found in land that's actively being managed by people. And that is, they are more biodiverse, they sequester more carbon and store it, helping to mitigate against climate change. They tend to do a better job of mitigating flooding and drought. And for all of those reasons and more, I think that it's appropriate that at least some fraction of our land in our city be allowed to be self-willed by nature. So that's what I've done in writing this conservation restriction. You have a copy of it. I would direct your attention to the Part 2 purposes on the first page, where it says, and I'll just be succinct here, the purposes of this CR are to ensure that the premises will be maintained in perpetuity in its natural, scenic, or undeveloped condition to safeguard biological diversity by protecting the environments and ecological processes, and to preserve and restore the wild qualities and natural beauty of the premises as free from human disturbance, noise, artificial light, and pollution as practicable, and to prevent any use or change that would materially impair the conservation values. The way that these CRs work, and this follows a template that the Massachusetts Division of Conservation Services provides, is that beginning in Part 3 on page 3, there are prohibited acts and uses, and then on the next page, there's permitted acts and uses. And that's the way of looking at what is going to be allowed there and what is not. And then there's also a section called special use area. So within the 25 acres, about 5 acres closest to the existing house that I mentioned before, that's now a different lot, are going to be defined as a special use area, allowing agricultural activities to be carried out within those 5 acres. So that almost nearly 20 acres is the portion that will be forever wild. Are there any questions?
No.
Councilor Boschman.
I read most of this. I found it hard sometimes to understand it, to be honest with you. It's like a lawyer wrote it. My first question is, not to be nosy, but I was always wondering, why did you pick the North Worcester County Land Association where you're right next to your abut, a watershed district, and you also were on the COMCOM Commission? I'd just like to know, was there any particular reason?
Well, I think you're right, Councilor, that it would have been potentially possible for the city to accept this conservation restriction, but that would have put a burden on the city to steward it, because that's the way that this is set up. And North County Land Trust was willing to assume that responsibility, to monitor it on an annual basis to make sure that the conditions of the CR are upheld. I don't think that even the Conservation Commission, which does hold various properties under their stewardship, has been negligent in carrying out any kind of monitoring that I'm aware of, and I was served on the Conservation Commission for 5 years. It's just not something that has been a big focus. So I think that it'll be in better hands with North County Land Trust than it would otherwise be, in terms of the monitoring and being certain that the obligations in here are upheld.
Now, I do want to say one thing. I do want to give credit to you and people that like you. I'm not pointing you up, because there are a lot of people that get involved in the environment, and you do different things. You're on the National River Association, you are on the COMCOM, and you do different other things for the environment purposes, and I agree with you. I think we all try to do our best. I try to do my best, but not as good as some of you guys. Some things I understand and I agree with: fresh air, clean water, that stuff. Forests, yes, I agree with it, and not cut it all down to a certain extent. Sometimes progress needs to make progress. But I said, how did they do it? And when I was reading some of this, and some of the big words they use, I can't pronounce them, to be honest with you. I said, oh my God, how do you understand these words? But anyway, the only one question I have to have, because I remember a couple of years ago, I think, Andy, were you on the commission then, on the board? you own that land. I thought you did a forest harvest thing with the city to clean some of that land out, no?
I think,
Yeah.
which is on the city's northern watershed land. It's not in land that I own.
Oh, okay.
So it's different in that regard from what we're talking about tonight. But the forest reserve was something I was able to negotiate with the city. They were planning to log, as they do from time to time, on the city's watershed properties. And I reached an agreement with them whereby I gave a donation to the city to more than cover the loss in income from not logging that land for 30 years. And so that was a different deal
Wow.
entirely.
I thought that was very nice of you, too. I said, wow. I said, wow, you want to see me do that, to be honest with you. But anyway, I appreciate it. I wanted to tell you that. I always meant to tell you that, but I'd rather give you credit in public, and I'm not trying to score points, but
I appreciate it.
admire people like you, to be honest with you. I really do, and I'm glad you guys are there fighting our battle. For the small guy like me that understands some of it, but not the big stuff, you know?
Well, I think it's really important, and it is something I'm very passionate about. You know, a lot of you have been spending a lot of time listening to the neighbors up at Shea Street neighborhood.
Yeah.
And their concerns with what might happen with the solar farm up there. And I can assure you, having been on the CONSCOM when it first came up, that if that forest is cut, it's going to make the flooding in that neighborhood a lot worse. Because trees have a superpower. They take up a lot of water and evapotranspire it into the atmosphere. And that prevents so much stormwater from running off and flooding downstream areas such as Shea Street. So we've seen a lot of cutting going on. I think approximately 5% of Fitchburg's forests have been undergone harvests, if you will, cutting of their forests within the past 6-7 years. That's a lot. It's really made some changes over at the Mad River Solar site off of Route 12.
Yeah.
It had some really bad effects. So I really, prize our intact forests, and I want to see more of them just allowed to grow. They do a lot of good for us, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this kind of work.
Thank you again. I really
Sure.
appreciate it. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Councilor Cragen?
Thank you. Mr. Baker, this is really generous. As my colleague mentioned, this is a spectacular opportunity for the city to have land called Forever Wild. I just looked up the definition. Forever Wild is the highest available protection for land in the United States. So the idea of the diversity, the forward motion of let this land stay as it was. 25 years ago, they found undeveloped, uncut forest on, I think it was the north side of Wachusett. And on that property was all kinds of wildlife and biodiversity and plants that no one knew were even growing there. And I think stewarding for the future is the best thing we do after educating the children who are in our care right now. And I guess I'd like to ask, do we have a plan in Fitchburg to not only have evaluated the land that we have, but to have some kind of a plan for how much should be as a set aside, how much should be Forever Wild, thinking 100 years ahead, even 50 years ahead? Is that something that we have? I see the mayor out there, but do you know, Mr. Baker?
I don't think there is such a plan, and I'd love to see consideration of something like that. It seems like the open space and recreation plan that we were talking about a moment ago might be a place where it belongs, such considerations. But no, I don't think so. And I mean, we, City of Fitchburg, do control about 4,500 acres of forest land. under the aegis of the Water and Wastewater Commission. To my knowledge, none of it has been designated as forever wild.
Right.
Now, Nick Erickson told me that there is a city forest off of Ringe Road. I'm not sure what its status is. I haven't investigated it, but he thought that might be a place that might qualify under that kind of designation. And there's also a city forest that the city of Fitchburg owns in Leominster, next to. Do any of you know about this? It's next to No Town Reservoir, I'm told.
Yeah. I don't know.
Again, I don't know what its actual status is. Was the one on Ringe Road, I was told, was the first city forest in the Commonwealth.
I've read that as well at the Historical Society. So we were really ahead, and I think we should stay ahead. And this is useful information, and I'll speak to Commissioner Erickson and to Liz. I think this sounds like a project that should start gelling and then maybe emerge as something that becomes part of the conversation. We certainly have environmental curriculum in our schools, elementary, middle school, and up. So this is very much of the moment.
Thank you. I'd love to see that, and thank you, Councilor Boschman, too, for what you said. I'd love to see something like that initiated here. I think there's no reason that Fitchburg can't lead in this kind of area. We do own a lot of forest land, and we've been, stewarding it, I think, reasonably well, but maybe we could do even better. The CR that we're here to talk about tonight is adjacent to that forest reserve property. And so it's actually part of a really big corridor that's ecologically valuable, that runs all the way, you might say, from downtown up through Crocker Conservation Area, Flat Rock Sanctuary that Mass Audubon has, into the Northern Watershed, to the Trustees Jewel Hill property, and further north from there all the way to Mount Watatic and points north. So it's really kind of a unique, important area that runs through our city, and I think it deserves increased protection.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Motion to accept?
A motion to accept?
Of course, if I'm friggin' on Cray, well, she like to talk to Worcester, Niles County.
Would you like an opportunity to?
Just for a moment, if you don't mind.
Would you mind?
Oh, I withdraw my motion.
Patience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Faith Salter. I'm the Executive Director of the North County Land Trust. And honestly, there isn't much I can add to what Ralph shared about what this is and why it's important, except to just let you know the North County Land Trust is the land trust in this region. Not the only one, but we love to work with landowners like Ralph. Our mission is to preserve land and to offer experiences for people to connect with it, because it's important to us. We all live right here, that folks recognize the beauty of nature that is in their own neighborhoods and how it adds value to their lives and their towns. And so mostly I just wanted to stand up here and thank you all, and also thank Ralph, because working with individual landowners for their vision, and Ralph got a chance to talk about not just what this piece means to him, but its connectivity to other pieces in his idea of what it means to be forever wild. And if you've ever been on one of our owl prowls and heard the owls, you'll know what that means. But mostly just wanted to thank you all and thank Ralph and other landowners like him who've stepped forward to protect land for the legacy of the city of Fitchburg. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to accept?
Motion,
I'll definitely second.
we have a second. Any opposition? All right, so the council recommends approval. So it'll go before the full city council later on this evening, just a little bit. So the only other item we have on our agenda is just the approval of the minutes from Tuesday, March 18, 2025.
I'll make that motion, we accept.
Yep, second.
Second, no opposition, so we'll accept the minutes. So we will adjourn the meeting briefly, and the appointments committee will be coming up in just a few minutes. We have a motion to adjourn?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
So moved.
We have a second? No opposition. Have a good evening. We'll see you very shortly for the appointments committee. Thank you.